Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to the lesson, Choosing a Viral Niche. So here's what's covered. We're gonna go over the different types of YouTube channels on YouTube. You might have not noticed different types, but we're gonna go over exactly what it is today and what we're gonna focus on inside of this program. We're gonna go over what is specifically a niche, right? What exactly is that and how we're gonna utilize that when we build our YouTube channel and how to properly pick a niche, because picking a niche is very, very important and having a solid foundation for massive growth. Okay, so let's get right into it. What are the different types of YouTube channels on YouTube? There's one type of channel called film channels, and you've seen these time and time again, where you are the face and the personality of the channel. And so it's channels like Mr. Beast, right? He's in front of a camera, he's recording content about himself, his friends. He has to record the content and he also has to edit it. So he is the face and the personality of the channel. And as you can see, all his thumbnails have his face because it's a film channel. Another example is Ryan's World. This is a massive, massive channel about this guy named Ryan. He's a really young kid, and as you can see, same thing. He is the personality, he is the face. Logan Paul is another example, just to hit home. These are what we call film channels, okay? They're the personality. What we're focusing on is what we call faceless channels. The content creation process is outsourced to freelancers. And so very similar to film channels, it's literally content that is super, super valuable. The only thing that is different is you don't have to show your face. You don't have to film your own content, right? You don't have to sit in front of a camera and put yourself in front of your thumbnails inside of your videos. None of that. Okay, so these are what we call faceless channels, where the whole entire content creation process of script writing, thumbnail, narration, and editing is all outsourced to teams abroad. And these are examples of faceless channels. One of these channels is called Voyager. This channel is about space, mystery, things in the unknown. And as you can see, there is no face to the channel. There is no personality. This channel is literally outsourced to people, to content creators, and the owner of this channel is making passive income from this faceless channel. Another example is the infographic show. Okay, so this is a more complex faceless channel because there's animations involved, but as you can see, there's 11.5 million subscribers. So a lot of people enjoy this style of content, and you definitely came across these channels before, but you probably didn't know that these are faceless channels, because who would, right? In this channel, what you see is you see this video being created, but in the background, there's a whole team of people creating the content for this channel. Another example of a faceless channel is a channel called Tech Vision. This is a channel in the tech niche. Again, there is no face attached to the channel. It's all just value, content, and information. And so hopefully this really hits home for the difference between film channels and faceless channels. So you might be asking, what is a niche? Why is it so important? A niche is interests that appeal to a small specialized section of the population. And why is niching down so important? The reason why we niche down is because you will attract an extremely passionate audience of people that will come back to your channel, or your audience will watch more and more of the same topic on your channel, which is something called a positive viewer feedback loop. People will keep coming back to your channel, keep watching more videos, and this causes a cycle. Keep coming back, right? Positive viewer feedback loop. And a positive viewer feedback loop leads to something called viewer velocity. All viewer velocity means it helps your channel get significantly more views and picked up by the YouTube algorithm much quicker. So this is all a game of momentum. And if we pick a right niche with a passionate audience, we're able to have both positive viewer feedback loops and also viewer velocity on our channel as well. And I want to warn you guys, make sure that your channel is not too niche to avoid a small audience, okay? We want to make sure that we have a specialized audience, a small and specialized section of the population. Nonetheless, we want to make sure that the audience there isn't too small, right? If you only have, 1,000 people that like such topic, you're not going to have many views on your channel. And our whole point is to generate a lot of views while still having a really passionate audience. So it's really a fine line. And so this is a perfect example these are perfect examples of the fine line between niches that are too broad and niches that are too specific. And so this is a prime example, sports. That can mean so many different types of sports, whether it be basketball, whether it be football, whether it be, tennis. There's so many different sports. And if you create a bunch of content about all these different sports, guess what? You're not going to have a passionate audience, because the same person that likes basketball isn't going to like tennis. Meanwhile, on the flip side, something that is too niche is a specific sports team. So for example, let's say, basketball sports team, the Golden State Warriors. right? That is, if you only created content about the Golden State Warriors, guess what? Maybe you won't have a large enough audience size that actually comes to your channel to watch the videos, and thus you won't be as profitable. And so a perfect niche would be, for example, basketball, right? So instead of being just specifically sports or a specific sports team, basketball will be your general and perfect niche. Right? So you can talk about anything related to basketball, and your channel will be related to that audience of people because it's wide enough where you're more profitable, but it's niche enough where you have a passionate audience who comes back to your channel for viewer velocity and also a positive viewer feedback loop. Another example of something that's too broad is tech. Too niched is one specific plane, and a perfect niche would be aviation technology. Another example is investing. Way too broad. There's so many ways to invest: crypto, real estate, stocks, you name it. And for too niche would be news on Amazon stock. Right? If your whole channel is just based on Amazon stock, that is way too specific. So a perfect niche example would be trending news about the market, right? Trending news about the stock market, or whether it be about the real estate market, and you specified specifically about that. So hopefully this shows you guys the fine line between something that is too broad and something that is too niche. We want to go for something that has the best of both worlds. So now that we understand what exactly is a niche and why it's so important, now we're going to go over the exact steps on how to properly pick a really good niche. So let's get right into it. So first off, take a look at the high RPM niche cheat sheet that I provided. What this resource is essentially a master list of the best and most profitable niches on YouTube. So let's take a look. So guys, what we have right here is something called the high RPM niche cheat sheet. What high RPM essentially means is the most profitable niches. And so what I created is a master list of the most profitable niches on YouTube. So I want to give you guys a disclaimer, this list is not in any specific order, but what I provide you guys is essentially the niche itself and example channels in this niche that are creating really good content and generating a lot of views. So that way you guys can replicate these channels and essentially learn from the best that is out there. So, technology, cars, space, finance, celebrity, luxury. We literally curated some of the best niches on YouTube with some of the best channels out there. So amazing cheat sheet and resource for you guys can look at. The list is only there for you to brainstorm and generate ideas. Okay, so don't feel restricted by it. If you have another niche that is not on there, feel free to go through this process that we're going to show you later so that you can also see if it's a niche that is worth going into. After you have looked at the high RPM niche cheat sheet and brainstorm some ideas of potential niches you want to get into, I want you to narrow down to a list of 5 top niches you're interested in. And after that, I want you to complete something called the niche selection cheat sheet, which I'm going to show you exactly what it is right now. So guys, what you see here right now is something called a niche selection cheat sheet. And essentially what it helps us does is compare the 5 different niches that we selected previously. And essentially instead of going with out of a whim or going with our gut, we actually go with a niche that we validate based on data. Okay, so this is a great way to compare the different niches based on what we are most knowledgeable about, what we are most passionate about, the most content we can create, the least effort in creating the videos, and the most popular. And what this resource helps us does is essentially create a value at the end of here that we can calculate, okay, this is probably the best niche that we can get into. So this is what you got to do right here. So for example, the 5 different niches that you can potentially get into based on, the high RPM niche cheat sheet and also your brainstorming could potentially be, let's say, these are just examples. Let's say space, crypto, MMA, cars, and celebrity. Okay, so these are 5 example niches that you can potentially get into. So guys, what you can do is at the bottom of this module, you can make a copy of the spreadsheet and you can fill in these values yourself as well. And so what you do is once you've filled out the 5 different niches that you have that you're comparing, so these are the instructions of what you'll do. You'll rate the items on the list from 1 to 5. With 5 being the most and 1 being the least. And once you put the values into this graph, it'll automatically spit out a value for you. And the largest total value is the niche that you should go and build your YouTube channel around. So for example, for the most knowledgeable, your most knowledgeable one would be the one that you write 5. So for example, if I was a MMA fanatic and I love MMA and I love the topic so much, I keep up with the news, it'd be 5. Then you go down the list, right? 4, 3, just examples, 2, and 1. And you do the same exact thing with what you're most passionate about. So of course, these values are going to be subjective to each and every single person. But when we create a YouTube channel, we don't just do it so we can make profit. We do it so we can build something that we're actually proud of, right? If you're going to do this for a long time, you want to make sure that you're not miserable while creating a YouTube channel. You want to be really proud of this asset that you're building. So you want to know, what are you most knowledgeable about? What are you most passionate about? And let's go ahead and fill these values out as well randomly. For you, it would be, whatever you feel like is appropriate, but let's just say that, okay? Let's say I was super passionate about celebrities, who knows? And what you'll do is, for the most content, you go on YouTube and search up different videos about this niche. And you also go on Google and search up, are there different topics about space, crypto, MMA, car, celebrity? Right? If there's a lot of news articles or a lot of videos on YouTube about the specific content, and that's actually really good because you have a lot of video ideas to source from. And so that's the way that we do it. Going onto YouTube, going into Google and searching up, are there a lot of new information coming about this? So let's fill it out. Let's say there's a lot of stuff coming about crypto. Maybe a lot of stuff coming about celebrity. Maybe a lot coming about space. Not as much coming about MMA or cars. So the next column is least effort in creating videos. And the reason why this is important, because there are certain scripts, voiceovers, and edits that are a lot harder to create. Maybe there isn't as much research out there. Maybe there's not as many articles, or maybe a certain niche needs animations or whiteboard style videos. Those videos are going to require a lot more effort and also a lot more time and money invested. And so we want to rank it by, the least effort as 5 and the most effort as 1. So let's go down this list. For example, let's say celebrity is the least effort, 5. Let's say crypto, or let's go say space is next. I would say crypto would probably be number 1 because there's a lot more research involved. And for crypto, you got to stay really in tune with the news. And so maybe that would be a lot more effort. And with cars, maybe that's 3, and MMA, maybe that's 2, because you also have to keep up with the news about MMA, or else the topics are going to be outdated as well. So that's the way that I would analyze it in terms of least to most effort for these specific niches. Now we have all these values for all these different columns. But now, how do we determine the most popular out of all these different niches? So the way that we do that is we go on Google Trends. So guys, here we are at Google Trends, and what Google Trends is essentially a huge database of what people are searching into YouTube and Google, because YouTube is owned by Google, and so Google has all the data from all these different platforms. So let's go ahead and type in our niches. Let's say space. Right, that's one of our niches. And what you can do is you can see how many people are actually searching for this specific term, space, on the internet. And what's even better is you can compare the different niches that are out there. So one of our niches is space. Another niche is crypto, right? So let's type in crypto, and boom, what we see is the graph of crypto pops up as well, right? The crypto is in red, and so the graph and the line is also in red as well. So you get to compare these two different niches side to side. And in this scenario, for the majority of the time, space is a lot more popular than crypto in terms of Google search. Let's type in the next one, MMA, and boom, third graph pops up. MMA is not as popular as crypto or space. Really, really good data, guys. Let's type in the rest, cars and celebrity. And boom, as we can see, all 5 niches pop up with their respective graphs. Cars seem to be, the most popular niche on Google search, with space following that, and then crypto following that, and then it's celebrity, then it's MMA. Right? So this gives us a really good data point of each point of the year and each point of the month, specifically when people are searching up for the specific term. But what's even better than Google search is we can go into YouTube search. So press web search and go to YouTube. And this gives us even better data, what people are searching for on the YouTube platform. And as you can see, very similar to the Google search, we get to see cars and space are still the most popular. And space had a huge spike in this section. I don't know why, but maybe there's probably news about something happening in space. Maybe a space rocket was launched into space during this time frame. Who knows? So really, really good data for us to essentially implement into our niche selection cheat sheet. So number 5 would be cars, because that is the most popular. So 5. Next is space. That's the second most popular. Is 4. Next is crypto. That's 3. and MMA and celebrity are pretty much tied. And so, let's just write 2 and 1. So 2 and 1. Okay, sweet. So now that we went to Google Trends and we found the ones that are the most popular, we have this whole entire table filled out. And as you can see at the end, it spits out the values automatically. We have space coming in at 18, crypto 13, MMA 12, cars 15, and celebrity 17. And the niche that is the winner, the largest total at the end over here would be space, because we got 18. The second niche that comes very close is celebrity, third cars, and then fourth crypto, and fifth MMA, based on these values that we put in. Of course, these are the examples that I have. This is not going to reflect your graph at all, because what I'm most knowledgeable about and what I'm most passionate about is not going to be exactly what your answers are. But this gives us really good data on all these values being combined together and what is the best for us. Because even though you have the most popular niche, you might not enjoy it. So at the end of the day, you might just give up on the channel because, just waking up every single day to create content about a specific niche just does not interest you. So you want a perfect harmony of everything, things that you're most passionate about and the most profitable and the most popular. And this is exactly how we do it. So both this and the high RPM niche cheat sheet are going to be linked down below. So use both of these as great resources to pick the best niche for your channel. So again, while using the niche selection cheat sheet, perform market research using Google Trends and compare the search volume and popularity of the different niches. Make a calculated decision by relying on real-time data instead of just going off of a whim or just going with our gut. And picking the niche with the highest score will ensure that you get into a profitable niche that you enjoy creating content about. That's really, really important. The next thing is, now that we know how to properly pick a niche, we need to understand what are the certain niches that we need to avoid. So video contents to avoid, and one of them is being compilation videos. Compilation videos do not work well. Essentially stitching different funny clips of, different pranks or maybe fails or maybe cat videos and dog videos. Those are not profitable, okay? Kids videos, avoid these at all costs. Simply re-uploading videos from TV shows or movies, that is not a good practice at all, and you're not going to actually make money from these. Or re-uploading music or AI generated content. And the reason why you should avoid creating these types of videos is because you'll, one, get into copyright claims and strikes, right? So you can jeopardize your channel. Number two, loss in potential income. And so because you get claims and strikes, you can either not get monetized on your channel, or certain videos aren't able to make money, or your whole entire channel gets terminated, and thus you lose on a whole source of income. Next thing is possible channel termination, right? Because all these things are unethical. Simply re-uploading other people's content or simply re-uploading music, that's not good without changing anything or adding any value. So with the types of videos that we create, we actually add voiceovers, we add scripts, we add edits, so we're actually transforming the content, and so we're protected by fair use. But if you just simply download, re-upload, that is not going to pass, and your channels can get terminated. And also you can potentially get shadow banned on YouTube, which essentially means that YouTube is less likely to promote your videos, and your videos will essentially get buried in the algorithm. So this is an example of a niche that you should not create your channel around. And all it is funny pet compilation videos of, cats, dogs, whatever. An hour long, 2 hour long, just compilation of videos. And sure, you can get a lot of views, right? This channel has 50, 40, 30 million views on every single video, but they're really not making any money at the end of the day because they're probably not monetized because they're uploading other people's content without transforming it, adding a voiceover, right? So this is not something that we should create. Another example is children's content. This is, even though they could make money, we want to avoid children's content at all costs, because there's a lot of restrictions in terms of what we can and cannot create, because YouTube has created a lot of rules regarding children's content. So in order to avoid this at all costs, just don't do children's content at all. So this is something we want to avoid as well. Next thing is music, okay? Just uploading music or soundtracks, not profitable. You are going to generate views, but you're not going to make money because the RPM, how much you make per 1,000 views, is going to be very low. So we're not going to create content like this either. Next thing is meditation music. There's a lot of people out there telling you to create, simply meditation music, upload other people's music, put a calming video in the background, and boom, you make money. That's not how it works, guys. You're not going to make money like this. This is also a no-go as well. So summary, guys, there are two types of channels. Film channels, you're responsible for recording and editing videos. You've seen these time and time again. Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, those guys out there where you have to sit in front of a camera and record yourself. Faceless channels is content is outsourced to freelancers. So the script, voiceover, and editing is outsourced to other people, so that way you can step away from the channel, and thus, there is no personality or face attached to it. That's why it's called a faceless channel. Now we're going to summarize the importance of niching down. Remember to keep it broad enough where you have a large enough audience size. And there are niches out there you must avoid to prevent issues with copyright and channel termination. Right? For example, compilation videos, kids videos, re-uploading other people's content, and also AI generated contents. And lastly, take a look at my high RPM cheat sheet to be able to see all the different most profitable niches out there, but do not be restricted by it. And use the niche selection cheat sheet to find the best niche so you can validate, okay, with numbers, this is the niche that I should go to, and you're confident this is the best one I can get into. So with that being said, this lesson is very, very important, and you got to make sure that you pick a really good niche. So with all the cheat sheets that I provide you guys, make sure to not skip on those, analyze them, utilize them to your maximum ability, because picking the right niche is going to set you up for a great, great foundation, right? If you get into a bad niche, you're just going to waste your time because you're going to create videos and you realize, wait a minute, there's not a good audience size for this. And so essentially what we do here is we make sure 100% this is going to be a good niche. This is a solid foundation for us to build videos, to build a team, and to build a channel around. And so before you move on to any other lesson, really make sure you watch this lesson through and through, you find a good niche, and then you move on to the next lessons. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.